Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We are your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today is November 8th, 2017. Now, I think a lot of you guys are probably coming to join us straight from the InfoWars interview that we had the amazing privilege to be a part of with Leanne McAdoo and Millie Weaver.
See if you can see us.
They are two absolutely amazing, strong women. And InfoWars is doing a 34-hour broadcast, so I actually hate going live right now to interrupt with it. But you guys can watch it when it's finished. Or you can watch us when we're finished. But
there we are.
Anyway, we were on InfoWars with Leanne and Millie. Both of their eyes are closed at that moment, but that's okay. It was so much fun.
Things like that. I mean, you're so...
I don't like to watch myself back, but I wanted to... I just wanted to show you. There we were.
It was a blast.
That was so much fun.
I had no idea that it was going to be a half hour long. So that was really a big bonus. But earlier today, I was talking to Millie on the phone. She called to cover the different topics that she wanted to discuss. And so Leah and I, we were kind of going over our feminism repertoire. This is kind of a wheelhouse.
Thank you guys.
For us.
Thank you.
Jasper, stop it. And did you guys hear Jasper on InfoWars? We put Sydney in the car. Okay, I didn't think Jasper was gonna get all out of hand, but apparently she did.
I had this nightmare of like everything just like falling.
All right, no, okay. The reason we were so white on InfoWars is they have nice soft lighting, and we have bright white lights. So yeah, we actually farm. We do have a tan, but the white lights. And then this camera, it's weird. But anyway, we were talking about feminism. And we have so much to offer. We thought Leah's been meaning to cover her Wonder Woman research.
What's your name on Twitter?
On Twitter, it's Resistance Chicks without the K.
But if you Google Resistance
but if you
Chicks,
just,
will come up.
Or if you just search it in
the
Twitter search bar, Resistance Chicks, we're there. But anyway, Leah did some research on, there is a movie that is coming out called Professor, what is his name again?
Professor Marston and the Wonder Women. Now,
he's a real guy.
Right. So the
comic book guy.
I read an article about this, and it was about the guy who created Wonder Woman. And I think this is like going to go over like most people's heads, and they're going to show up at this movie and be like, what the heck did I just watch? Okay. This guy was sick and twisted. And while going on this whole feminist rant, I want you guys to stick with me because I want you to kind of know like the history of feminism. I don't know if you want to give her this. I have something for her.
It's got plastic on it.
I know, you'd have to do it. You'd have to untwist the plastic.
Here, try this. Oh, now she's all excited about that.
So let me just play you this trailer. My paper, we've showed you that our newspaper, Cincinnati Enquirer, is incredibly leftist, but they promote like the most disgusting things. Like I got an email, no kidding, because I get the newspaper. I used to get it every single day because my grandma died, and I just kept getting it. And then I get the Friday, Saturday, Sunday because I don't want to pay for the rest of it, just to kind of do opposition research and see what the left is up to. And they sent me an email that said, join Alec Baldwin live on Facebook. And I was like, you are shilling for Alec Baldwin, who is
a newspaper man.
So disgusting. He's way more disgusting than Donald Trump. This man is like a super perv. Did you guys know that Alec Baldwin did a sex movie where like he his character hooks up with his teenage stepdaughter because his stepdaughter gets bored and decides to become a call girl, high school teen, right? Decides to become a call girl. And
you know what? Nowadays, when that happens, those girls are in what we refer to as the pedophile rings, that they get saved and rescued when what are they called? The people that go in like the SWAT to bust up the pedophile rings. The whole premise
of this Alec Baldwin movie is that he calls the call it girl agency and ends up hooking up with his teenage stepdaughter, and the girl that they picked for him to kiss and fondle was 16 years old. Mm-hmm. And he got in an argument with the director and all the other people on the set because he's like, I didn't know, and everybody's like, dude, you knew. You knew. So I'm just saying that Alec Baldwin needs to be flushed down the toilet.
That man has always given me the creeps.
and everything else. So this is this Professor Marston movie trailer. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of backstory. This guy, Professor Marston, really got into like communism and Karl Marx and Freudism and believed this whole polymorphous. This I never heard.
Polymorphously perverse.
Well, and then they're in a polyamorous relationship. This is a new term where he is married to a woman. And he wants to hook up with a student in his college, and he gives his wife an ultimatum. I divorce you, and at the time, this was like the 30s, I divorce you and you're a single woman, or we bring her in and I get to have sex with her and you in a relationship. And I guess she took a walk, and 6 hours later, she decided that that's what she wanted to do as well. Their life is like something out of a satanic Bible.
But what I love is that they are able to make a movie about this.
Right.
And it's okay in our society. It's going to be accepted.
They're missing that he actually brought in a third girl and she got to live in an attic.
She got to live in the attic.
Yeah, so I guess they had 2 bedrooms with like a bathroom. Like somehow the bedrooms were connected so that this dude could go back and forth between the bedrooms. It's just... The whole point is that if this is feminism, I don't want anything to do with it. Mm-hmm. This is Wonder Woman. I don't want the power of Wonder Woman. All my Christian friends are like wearing Wonder Woman hats and seeing the Wonder Woman movie, and I'm just like, I know they kind of redid the movie or whatever, but I'm not touching it with a 10-foot pole because I have seen the cesspools of hell, what this man created. He actually set out. He said that he set out to undermine Christian society, to break up families.
Are you going to play the clip in a minute here where he says, I want to put my ideals into society? Sydney,
you're
going to have to go upstairs.
My ideas right into the thumping heart of America.
He wants to inject his ideas of polyamorous relationships, no real commitment. He's just super sexual, and not even like real sex, like loving, caring, kind, man and woman. Sydney.
I got it, man. It was a save.
Yes, there it was. This is the disgusting. So this is the 2 women played by the blonde is the one that got to come in and live with the family. The brunette is the first wife.
I mean, I'll get a real artist to draw it properly.
She's an Amazon princess that lives on an island of all women.
Paradise Island.
And a man crash lands on the island.
Yeah, Steve Trevor the spy.
And she wears a burlesque outfit.
Well, it's athletic.
And silver bracelets.
They deflect bullets.
So he based Wonder Woman off of the Varga girls, and if you look at them, they're porn. So the idea that this man is a feminist, empowering women, drawing a character to sexually arouse men, while at the same time aiming this magazine towards children, he needed to be arrested and put in jail because he's cuckoo and a pedophile.
And all her friends and helpers are sorority girls who have spanking parties and everybody fights Nazis. And
spanking parties was a thing. The idea of these Amazon women living together in some sort of weird lesbianistic relationship, that was a thing. That is a theme in Wonder Woman. The idea that they're like half naked, wrestling each other, that's a thing. It's supposed to be sexual. For children, by the way.
And rides in an invisible plane.
Yes.
On kangaroos to the moon. Not only is he sick, he's crazy.
We love you, truly.
We love you.
And I say this with all the compassion and truth in my heart.
Truth.
Nobody will ever...
Did I mention that he created the polygraph
test?
He was so weird. His big thing was he wanted to see who would be more sexually aroused, brunettes or blondes. So he put these meters on women and had them watch a movie, and he said brunettes were more sexually aroused. And that actually, real academics, he kept getting thrown out of academia. He just kept getting, that's how he had to start writing the Wonder Women, because he's such a great man that he was actually living off of his wife. They brought the blonde in to be a housekeeper. And
I'm going to fix the camera. Keep talking.
Okay. The idea was that you have this trio where the one woman is dominant over the male who's dominant over the third woman. It's dominant submission.
Right.
And he actually learned this from this weird feminist cult. This is all true. It sounds weird. there are notes, cult that his aunt like started. Okay, so his aunt's a pedophile too, bringing all these people in and her nephew to talk about sexual things. I ain't going nowhere talking about sexual things with my aunts and uncles, dude.
That's weird.
That's just creepy and incestual. But they have this weird women need to be dominant, but and men need to be submissive, but then men need to be dominant over a third woman.
Now, hang on though. So let's take it back to what we were trying. Not what we were trying to talk about, but what we didn't get to
Those
expound
are
upon.
Real notes from their meetings, by the way.
On InfoWars, because there's only so much time, was how these women they literally just leave off all men in like the 60s.
Yes, I'm going to show you some videos like
and
that.
And that's kind of the cornerstone, the basis of what he has implemented into his cartoon or comic, whatever you want to call it, is the fact that all women, or not all women, but women leave society and they go to this commune. So he obviously heavily studied feminism.
Right.
Okay, and as we were talking about on InfoWars, the feminism line comes from actual men who want free love and free sex.
Right.
And so it's this incredibly twisted circle. So all of these feminists that think that they're being feminists have no idea that they are being led by men that just want to use them as sex tools.
Yeah, everybody, there are a few evil women. And one of the evil women in this story is Margaret Sanger. The second evil woman in this story is Margaret Sanger's sister. Now, this is a really twisted story because
she's from Planned Parenthood, for those of you that aren't following.
Margaret Sanger is the author of All Babies Dead.
She said the most generous thing that you can do to one of your family's children is to kill it.
Yeah. The blonde here, the character played by the blonde here, her mom is Margaret Sanger's sister. Her aunt is Margaret Sanger. So Morstan
real life,
Morstan brought on people. Anybody who came on to the team to help with Wonder Woman had to read Margaret Sanger's book, because you can't have all this free sex without killing children. Women can't have all this free sex because something happens. Usually women get pregnant.
I think maybe some people may not have caught on to the fact that the dude had a sexual partner that was the niece of Margaret Sanger.
Her mom was Margaret Sanger's sister.
That sink in. This is real life. This is not just in the movie.
And they worked together. Margaret Sanger's sister. Actually, Margaret Sanger took a lot of the praise for the different things that Margaret Sanger's sister did one of those fasts where you don't eat. Mm-hmm. And then later on in Margaret Sanger's book, she took credit for doing this fast or whatever. And Margaret Sanger's sister wasn't too happy about that because she's the one who did it.
Oh, okay.
Right. Okay, more on this trailer here.
Publish this.
The incredible true story.
Esteemed psychologist with considerable accomplishments, most notably the invention of the lie detector test. Creator and sole author of the Wonder Woman comic books. Why don't you write Wonder Woman under your real name?
I write what I see about women I know. Beautiful, brilliant, ferocious. They have the power within themselves to create their own destiny.
What is power?
Power to create their own destiny, yet you have two women who you are totally controlling. You gave an ultimatum to your first wife. Say, let me bring in another woman or I will leave you.
She has the power to control her life. She had the power to say yes or no.
Right.
About a woman running around in a bathing suit.
That's a really good question.
Good question.
Every time I look at superheroes in their nakedness, that's not practical because you can not only is it not practical, but you could hurt yourself. It doesn't make sense. Like Spider-Man gets super suit, and even Superman gets a super suit.
And you know what? They get capes too a lot of times. Where's the cape? I mean, I know she gets a cape, but it ain't covering anything.
I think you long for an unconventional life.
What we want can never happen.
Now we got lesbians in the movie.
So they, by the way, stayed together, these two girls, and I don't know what happened to the third one in the attic. And they took care of Margaret Sanger in her old life. Margaret Sanger became this weird grandparent to these children that these two women had, whereas their own mother was estranged because that's what you had to do. They had to dissociate themselves from their own children, and I think Margaret Sanger's own children dissociated from her too as well.
I wonder if you were the one with the secret identity.
It will
war,
forever change the way
violence,
you look at
hatred.
Wonder Woman.
The path to peace is not through finance or politics. It is to solve the problems of man's heart. That's why we need Wonder Woman.
And never boring.
So the idea of this whole, you guys have heard of this BSDM, whatever, this bondage, sadomasochism, whatever.
50 Shades of Grey deal.
Yeah, it comes out of this kind of junk that is not real love or caring about anybody. I want to show you a clip from an interview with the people who did the movie, talking about this quote-unquote polyamorous relationship and how they're trying to normalize this, which it's not normal.
And in a kind of a very contemporary portrait of polyamory in a lot of ways, which you don't really see so much on film. Was that a subject that...
Because it's gross!
Research? Did you talk
So I guess the Mormons are all going to be okay now.
The Mormons are cool, dude.
I have a friend who's in the poly community, and it was great because she was just really
This,
open and willing
whatever
to talk
this
about it.
is, that's
And
the
she was also
director.
just as excited as I was.
Not
for the
sure
films and having them
gender.
to come out because she feels that their community. Just
I think
hasn't
she
been
thinks she's a
represented
female.
at
I don't
all.
know.
And if it hasn't been done with respect and love. So, yeah, it was a kind of great process to go through with her as well.
You have a great phrase you used yesterday.
A conventional,
Conventional love story about unconventional people.
Yeah, I think it describes them perfectly. It's they were quite conventional, weren't they? In the way they lived their lives. The fact that they were in love as a polyamorous relationship, 3 people, wasn't really the important factor in their lives. They just wanted to be together and have a...
It wasn't the
conventional
important
life.
factor
They
in
didn't
their
have
lives.
they didn't have words like polyamory or any sort of defining...
I'm not sure that that's how it works out when you go to your first wife and say, I'm going to leave you unless you let the second one come in.
Right.
And that's the main theme. When you look at Hugh Hefner, who was supposedly a feminist, as we talked about on the show tonight, Woody Allen says that he's a feminist, even though it seems that these men who call themselves feminists tend to all be like pedophiles.
Yeah.
And really have a need to put their perversion on everyone else because it's not normal.
Right.
There are certain things that don't come to a normal person's mind. They have to be implanted into one's mind.
And here is the thing with the polyamorous relationships.
Right.
Unless there's 4 and not everybody's loving on each other, there's homosexuality involved in every single one of them. Right. So what they're talking about is not some sort of, the dude just sleeps with the wife and then sleeps with the other wife or whatever.
Right.
They are intertwining homosexuality into this this theme here.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys get their ideas from Sigmund Freud. Freud was, for all intents and purposes, the ends by and means for like a decade or two before everybody debunked him. And if you've read Sigmund Freud, I actually was reading a paper today by the woman who wrote the Feministic, the French author who helped revolutionize the feminist movement.
For the worse.
For the worse. And she describes, Sigmund Freud as, and she has gone beyond this, and it's not true, but it really messed up a couple people for like 20 or 30 years, where he goes on to say that he had a sexual attraction to his mom, and he was jealous of his child. As a child. An infant, actually. Yeah. An infant. He says that infants... Now, this is Sigmund Freud's words. I'm not being perverse. He is. He says that infants are oral sexually and anal sexually because he says that infants have a sexual attraction to their mother through breastfeeding, and they hold... This is his own words. They hold on to their poop.
Stop it.
And a lot of these kids have a poop problem because... They want a bigger poop to have a sexual reaction through their rear. Now, this is Sigmund Freud, who some people still take seriously. He needs to go to cuckoo land. All of his writings, but my point is that people like Woody Allen, they admire and venerate Sigmund Freud.
Can I just, throw this out there because it's my show and I can, and it's late and I'm tired and I just sometimes get a little crazy. But here's the thing. Now, from what I understand, and we've only learned this, I have only learned these things from doing Resistance Chicks, but the pleasure from the rear only happens with men. All right?
Because of the prostate or something.
So I can't speak to that. But as a woman who's had to hold a poo, and y'all have had to hold a poo, there is nothing enjoyable about holding that poo, okay? Or having the poo come out. It's only when the poo has been released from the body that you feel better. But that's because pain has stopped. All right? So I just got real with you people today. I don't know what Sigmund Freud is thinking, but holding the poo and releasing the poo is not fun. The end.
It certainly isn't sexual.
It's not sexual, all right?
That would never... No. The fact when I read this, I thought to myself, what happened to your mind?
Horatio's going to kill me for this, but at one point... when it comes, we were covering some sort of article, I don't remember, and there was eating, and then there was sex. And he said, I don't know how these people are putting this together because the one makes me want to do without the other. All right? And that's what I got to say about pooping. Okay?
And for obvious reason. And I bring this all up because people like this Herbert Marcuse, I bring him up because he is such a mind that helped the feminist movement go.
Right.
Go.
Gotta go.
Marcuse. I think you have to read him when you go to a real college. I went to Bible college. I didn't have to read him. But anyways, he the whole make love, not war came from him. And his whole goal was to marry Sigmund Freud with Karl Marx. And to take Sigmund Freud, who actually had some inhibitions to a polyamorous lifestyle. He believed that everybody was polyamorous. He believed that everybody was multisexual, that everybody was attracted to male and female. He believed this, but he didn't believe that. He believed that mankind should hold themselves back, right? This is awesome. I know you guys are loving this.
The comments are so great.
I know. But anyways, he believed that you should hold... Freud actually believed in some sort of self-restraint for society. But Marcuse said, throw off your restraint. Imagine Sigmund Freud unleashed on people with Karl Marx, and that's why you have today with these social justice warriors.
I love you all.
Madness,
right?
And so when we get to this, movie, I was let's see, I have some things highlighted here. I'm not sure where I'm at.
Jasper, I just gave you something. Okay.
So I'm reading about. Let's see here. Wonder Woman's origin story comes straight out of the feminist utopian fiction in the 19th century. Suffragists, following the work of anthropologists, believe that something like the Amazons of Greek myth had once existed, and matriarchy that predated the rise of patriarchy. The period of women's supremacy lasted through many centuries, and actually, this goes through, Elizabeth Cady Stanton wrote that in 1891. She got that from a guy, an American anthropologist, and Karl Marx and his guy Frederick Engels got it from this American anthropologist who was showing that prehistory everything was a matriarchy, and the idea was to just in Frederick Engels' book, this is really important because the idea was to destroy the family. If I know the great,
it's just so great.
Research Frederick Engels, we never hear about Frederick Engels. He co-authored everything with Karl Marx. In fact, he wrote things that Karl Marx, you think are attributed to Karl Marx, but they're actually Frederick Engels.
It was kind of almost like a ghostwriter.
Yeah. And after Karl Marx died, Engels wrote this thing where he's about the family, getting it from this anthropologist saying that in many cases people didn't marry. Right. They just had sex with whoever they wanted to, but they had they did the mother's line. You couldn't have sex with people down the mother's line because of incest. But it's just really break down of the family, have sex with everybody who you want to, because these are men who just want to not be responsible, and they wanted the women to take care of all the children as a group.
And the cycle of this, to bring it back around to the whole feminist conversation, is it is actually damaging to women.
Right.
This line of thought, because we are the weaker vessel. We do need protection.
Right.
We do need provision. Yeah, we are strong women. We own our own business. We own our own house. You know, listen, I get that.
But women through history have owned businesses. From the beginning of time.
Proverbs 31, woman goes out and she seeks out a field and she buys it.
Okay? Throughout history, women have always been strong, especially in a Christian community. Women were never stronger and treated with love and respect as in the early Christian community.
Right.
They were treated as equals, but known as a weaker sex because technically women's bones and body structure is weaker, that we are emotionally weaker so that we can care for children. Okay, there are reasons that God has created men and women, but these first wave feminists, who sometimes we call ourselves first wave feminists, but really I hate and I loathe Elizabeth Cady Stanton. She hated Christians, wanted to get rid of the Bible. Obviously she believed in this matriarchy. She was just a wicked woman. If you look at her picture, she looks like this old evil hag.
Do we have a picture of her?
Yeah, I can bring her up. I just don't like her. I really don't.
Let's put a face to the disgustingness, if we can.
She's got a women's Bible, actually.
Oh, boy.
This is Elizabeth Cady Stanton.
Well, look at that.
I just don't like her.
Sorry, my feminine hair is getting caught up.
I don't like her. I mean, these women don't look awesome.
What is that? I mean, geez. And I have to tell you something. I'm going to be completely honest with you. And this has nothing to do with weight because Leah and I are probably the most loving and caring people. They believe in eating healthy, but here's the thing:
it's
gluttony.
Impossible to be that
large.
Be
that big, that large, because you didn't have the
fast food. Mm-hmm. You had to make it all yourself. She obviously had servants. She had to have servants.
Exactly. In order to I feel like, unfortunately, we can, in this particular instance, and I won't give it to any...
anthropological about it.
I won't give this to any modern context. But here, in this particular one, because it's older...
You had to do your laundry by hand. I mean...
She wasn't doing work herself, and she was... being fed hand and foot, ha ha ha,
exactly.
But she seriously was. It was almost impossible to be overweight back then.
It was impossible. It was impossible. So when we're bringing her up, she's like the foundation. There were good feminists who were calling for equal women's rights and things like that. They were good people. For the most part, the first wave feminists were actually pro-life because they saw abortion as anti-feminine.
Anti-woman.
Yeah.
Because they realized the actual, and somewhere this lie got twisted, but the truth of abortion is so that men can sleep with women without responsibility. That is and that's the same thing for birth control. All right. You guys need to know that. And these women saw that they would, if there wasn't the responsibility of having to care for this child, then, men will just treat women like trash and just use and abuse them.
So the idea, this guy the guy who wrote this, Morrison, whatever, he didn't come up with this on himself. There was a guy named Max Easton in 1913, founder of the New York Men's League for Women's Suffrage. I can't really stand men feminists because they have
they're apologists for this feminist movement that just makes them weak.
And not even that, but they want women to be sexually promiscuous. That's their big thing.
True.
So he published a poem called Child of the Amazons and Other Poems, and in the title poem, the Amazonian girl falls in love with a man but can't marry him until the far age when men shall cease their tyranny and the Amazons revolt. So you have this this whole story was not based, he plagiarized it. So you have this guy's sister or members of the Heterodoxy, a group of Greenwich Village feminists, and
isn't it just
Greenwich Village? Yeah. Somehow they get tied in with Marston. I don't know, but the whole feminist group, Margaret Sanger group, they kind of all ran together. Okay. In 1917, when motion pictures were still a novelty and the United States had only just entered the First World War, Sanger starred in a silent film called Birth Control, Margaret Sanger, and it was banned. And it was, obviously disgusting. I'm going to go on. Marston graduated from law school in 1918.
Harvard.
All these things happened at the same time. Federal Reserve.
Right.
The income tax. In 1917, what started in 1917? The Frankfurt School. The commies came over, right? The commies came over, started their Frankfurt School. Herbert Marcuse is part of the Frankfurt School. Then they were Jewish.
I was going to, here's your Jew card. I was going to say, you have it right now.
These Jewish commies wanted to subvert American hard work, American ideals. And it was satanic. And the way you do that is to attack the family. And the way you do that is, as the devil did in the Garden of Eden, you whisper in the woman's ear and say,
did God really say?
Do you really want to be married? Mm-hmm. Do you really want to stay home? Do you really want to wash the dishes? And it wasn't until the 50s.
I don't answer that question. Yeah.
It wasn't until the 50s and 60s when, all the appliances came out that women started to
feel that they weren't needed. They weren't necessary.
Most women didn't listen to this stuff because still...
It was a joke. Oh my gosh. The work that I do is very valuable. My kids need me. My husband needs me.
Right.
I'm not married. Right. Okay? But I do know that men don't deal with sickness very well.
Right.
And so all those women out there who have ever had a sick husband, y'all know your husbands need you.
So Sanger wrote in her new book, Women in the New Race, the most far-reaching development of modern times is the revolt of women against sex servitude and promised that contraception would remake the world. And it really has. It really, really has. Marston finished his PhD at Harvard in 1921. After a stint of service during the First World War, his research had to do with emotions. I had told you about that. He created the lie detector test.
So Otto says the women's lib doubled the tax base and increased consumption.
That's exactly
And that was their entire goal. It's all about, it's not just about sex and free love and all that. It is about money and power and control. And as Millie was saying tonight on InfoWars, it's specifically to pull the children away from the family, to break down the family so that they can control individuals in society.
And it lowers wages on the whole.
Do you remember when a man used to get what they call a living wage?
And it was well known that an employer, if you were employed, you had to pay a man a decent wage to provide for his family. But now you don't have to do that anymore. There's no morals. There's no... How many friends do we have whose parents now in their late 50s and 60s have been conveniently let go the year...
Right before retirement benefits are supposed to start. Yeah, it's awful.
Right.
Absolutely awful.
So you have this group living together, and they have this book, Margaret Sanger's Women in the New Race, and that's where this all comes from. Seriously, Wonder Woman comes from, and that's why it was such a big deal for me, and that's why it's been heavily on my mind, because the whole idea of abortion and contraception and free sex was actually first touted like Pinocchio's, little boys running away. Don't you want to just go to the fair?
Right.
Don't you women, don't you kids, don't you men want to read Wonder Woman in this funny little cartoon where kangaroos are your spaceship to the moon? I mean, none of it made any sense. And a lot of the people would look at that magazine, they'd throw it down because it does look like pornography.
Yes. We were not allowed to watch Wonder Woman when we were kids. I don't know, Patriot Gallery, if she can chime in here or not, but I assumed it was from the kind of magical power standpoint, because we didn't do any of that, and the lack of clothing. Am I correct, you think?
Yeah. So, Holloway, one of Marston's girls, she tried to explain that she'd taken away from reading Margaret Sanger's book this: the new race will have a far greater love capacity than the current one.
I don't think so.
And I mean physical love as well as in other forms.
No, you just mean physical, and it's not really love.
Right. So Margaret Sanger's called for the erotic rights of women, erotic equality. Ellis, one of these other guys involved in the whole thing, and he insisted in 1918 was no less important than political equality, if more difficult to achieve. The right to joy cannot be claimed in the same way as one claims the right to put up a voting paper in a ballot box, he wrote. That is why the erotic rights of women have been the last of all to be attained.
The erotic right? What does that even mean?
It's Hugh Hefner.
No, because guys don't understand how women work. I'm sorry, women aren't really erotic beings. It's scientific. that men are physical and women are emotional when it comes to relationships. Now, I think that God designed it for it to be a little bit more balanced, but by and large, from the scientific standpoint, I think we can establish that. And so what they were trying to do is morph and twist how a woman is hardwired, okay? We want cards. We want little notes that say, I'm thinking of you, all right? Write a poem or something like that, okay? Men are physical, women are emotional. They don't really have that same erotic. If you want to have a woman love you more, you go after the emotional things. If you want more of a reaction, you go from an emotional standpoint. And so he was basing it all on his own sick, twisted thoughts, thinking, you know what? I want women to be physical with me the way that I am, and I'm not going to meet her needs. I'm going to change her needs and then meet them that way.
Exactly.
That's completely sick and morphed.
And that's the whole idea behind men pushing feminism. As we talked on InfoWars, Abby Rockefeller was David Rockefeller's daughter, who started one of these Cell 16 movements of feminism. Marston would have, this is the guy who wrote Wonder Woman, have two wives. Holloway, his first wife, would have her career, and Byrne would raise the children. And no one would know. No one really knew. The kids didn't even talk about it. There's a woman who wrote a book about them, and she actually was interviewed here. And they're giggling and they're laughing here on this NPR radio interview. I listened to it. It was very surreal to listen to the author of this book talk about, her name is Jill Lepori, talk about William Moulton Marston and his secret life that he had
with his wife and his mistress.
Yeah. And she actually found out about it when she was researching Margaret Sanger in a positive way. And she, birth control and women's rights was his mistress's aunt, was Margaret Sanger. And that really struck home with me and really disgusted me.
Here's the thing. To establish something, we actually watched the new Wonder Woman movie. I did not like it. I didn't care for it. I thought it was awful.
Yeah.
Just from a movie
standpoint. Before I knew any of this, by the way.
I didn't care for it. But now, and like you said, we didn't know any of this. Looking back, having seen the new movie, I can tell where they did insert a lot of this stuff into, they knew. The creators of the new Wonder Woman knew. But I gotta tell you, from an honest standpoint, and you guys know, obviously, tonight I'm being very open, nobody wants to watch a movie where the woman is the hero. I mean, and in Wonder Woman, it was blatant, all right? Chris Pine, who always plays like the hero of a movie, he was just kind of like this wimpy, dude. Yeah. I mean, nobody wants to watch that. Everybody wants to watch the prince save the princess. It's that simple.
Right. Well, and that's what goes to this argument that Marston was trying to do. What he was trying to say as a clinical psychologist, his goal was to, quote, people must be taught that the love parts of themselves, the sexual parts of themselves, which they have come to regard as abnormal, are completely normal.
Right.
So anything that we would find abhorrent and repulsed by is actually completely normal. And he said people need to be re-educated. What do you think sex education in school is all about? Re-educating children to show children that sex is normal for children, but it's not, because their bodies are still developing.
Right.
Okay? And babies can be made.
Right.
All right.
So but I think also we're going to end up with a lot more of not just dysfunction from a male standpoint, but also from a female standpoint.
Right.
That you're not going to be able to do this beautiful procreative act properly because you're broken emotionally and you physically are broken because your body and your mind didn't have time to develop properly.
Right. And at the very beginning when they were making these comic books, some of them were burned. They felt like comic book reading was not good for kids. And I can tell you, when you read them, that you can just see that they're not good for developing the mind. Right. Definitely. And those are a few more things I wanted to point out to you. That was stupid. Never before had the fight for women's equality been narrowed down to just one real issue, sex. And that's really just that
has nothing to do with, I got to tell you, I hate the line, you're just a sexual being.
Right. Right.
Because you know what? I'm 34, and you guys have to know this if you haven't watched Leah and Michelle's Virgin Diaries. We're still saving ourselves for marriage. I'm obviously more than a sexual being. I subsist or exist, or however you want to say it, every day completely fulfilled in Jesus Christ and in the life that he has blessed me with. So reducing people to this, oh, you're just a sexual being, takes away all of who someone is.
Right. So let me just read you a couple quotes here. From the articles that I was reading. I think that this is from this article. You can see these pictures here. So they're half naked. They look like butch women. It looks like they even have hair on their legs. I don't know. It's really weird. But they're riding around
each other.
But the idea of the rope and the bondage and the women fighting each other.
It's very sexual.
It is. It's the whole bondage thing. And so I pulled out some quotes. Marston lived in a polyamorous relationship with his wife, Elizabeth, and their lover, Olive Byrne. He had children with both women. Elizabeth and Olive lived together for decades after Marston died. They were almost certainly bisexual. Marston was attuned to the possibility of unconventional family structures. He created a Wonder Woman origin story that cut out men and refused the logic of patriarchy. Even at the whole theme, I guess, of Wonder Woman is that men are evil, pretty much. He created a Wonder Woman, the film, in asserting that the facts of life must be the facts of life, and in attributing Wonder Woman's specialness to Zeus's power as God, dismisses Marston's politics in order to tell a more conventional story. That's talking about the new film that came out
about this.
Well, yeah, I don't know if it's this one or the Wonder Woman movie itself. Marston wasn't just a polyamorist. He was an academic psychologist and a sexual theorist whose ideas seem daring even in 2017. So when you call yourself that, what I think of myself, I think of now Weinstein and all these directors who literally get to cast women and tell them to take their clothes off and do all these things, and they put themselves in positions of power to control and to manipulate, like this guy did. He controlled and manipulated.
I'm thinking he's called a sexual theorist, and I go back to our slogan. You know what? It's not a sexual theory conspiracy if it's actually the truth. And his theories were just that. Theories. They were not truth. They were false. They were completely just theoretical.
Okay, now, if there's anything I want you guys to take away from this, it's this one line. You have to know that Wonder Woman's creator is a pedophile.
Correct.
Let me say this one more time. Wonder Woman's creator was a pedophile. Listen to this. I told you about Sigmund Freud. If you guys are just joining us, Sigmund Freud believed that kids were attracted to their parents. So here's a quote. Marston's Emotions of Normal People, 1928. And I tried to read it. Some of these, like Marcuse, Eros, and Civilization, they make it really hard to read on purpose so that you can't even understand what they're saying. Like, seriously. But it did argue that, contra to Freud, that children's erotic bonds with their mothers were normal and awesome if cultivated, could save the world. Cultivate. How do you cultivate a child's sexual bond with their mother?
That's just, I don't know where
what
you go
went
from
on in this man's family. These kids did not speak out. I guarantee you they were molested. If he literally believed, watching his children be breastfed, that his children were having sexual arousal,
then you're a pedophile.
Then you are a pedophile.
You're viewing your child, any adult that views a child as a sexual creature, even from a quote-unquote scientific standpoint, is a pedophile. They are a pedophile. Now, I want to get to a comment that Maia deleted, and well done on deleting it. That's fine. But now I'm just going to give it out here. Now, someone says that if you've never had sex, then you shouldn't be giving advice. Now, I want to contest that a little bit. Because as a human being, who, Gary, I'm 33. I haven't turned 34 yet, but it's all right. 34 years.
Her birthday in like a couple hours.
Okay, so for 34 years... I have been saving myself. Now, granted, I was a child, so we'll go to adulthood, let's say 18. So I have been saving myself for the past 16 years. I have had a chance to go to the Word of God and seek the Father on just exactly how to maintain that purity and how to save myself for a pure marriage. I would contest that, in fact, being fully developed in my mind, adult, and saving myself having not been sullied, gives me it actually gives me a clearer view of sex than those people who have already experienced it. Okay? And it's not just sex that we're talking about here. We're talking about normal relationships versus not normal. Okay? What married people do between, that's up to all people. Okay? But I can tell you what is normal and what is not normal. Okay? We have had time to study and research this in the Word of God. That's where we go, because the only way to maintain purity until you're 34 years old is with God. Because without Him, you ain't going to do it, or else you're just a weirdo and a creep. And you're probably looking at pornography. Now, next thing I want to address in the comments, which has nothing to do with anything, but someone said that I wore this same shirt yesterday. You may thank Horatio for that, because when he found out we were going to be on InfoWars, he says, wear the pink gingham. I thought, okay, fine. He's our producer. He's our UK correspondent. He also said, now don't talk over each other. So we take our tips from Horatio.
Seriously, that's
awesome. This is a fantastic topic.
And I'm glad that somebody actually said. I've been waiting for somebody to say that.
That's like saying you can't knock drugs unless you've tried them.
I can know exactly what. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
As somebody that's been saving themselves, I know what's going to be real and what's going to be fake. And I think some people may have a skewed view of that, like the Teen Challenge young men. I just heard recently, we were having a conversation with Justin, because Leah wanted to address an issue that you're probably not going to address right now.
Let's not do that.
But he said that the young men at Teen Challenge, they've all been around the block several times and have experienced a lot of different things. Many of them had experienced homosexual things, because when you're a drug addict, you will do things.
Yeah.
All right. So they've been through things. Okay.
Right.
And they all thought that they had the right view for how things are supposed to go in a marriage and everything that's supposed to take place. Now, I can tell you, all them boys that have been around, had their little sexual experiences, ain't know the first thing about what to do with a real godly woman.
Amen.
All right, now as a real godly woman, I could give those boys a lesson or two, open up the Bible and tell them how they supposed to treat their wives. I need to have had sex, because they've had it and they messed up. And they don't know. Their sexual experiences messed them up. So I'm not going to take advice from somebody just because they've just got... Now, earlier yesterday, you had to talk about Willie. Just because they think that they've experienced something with Willie. Okay? End of subject. Carry on.
All right. So, back to Marston and Wonder Woman being a pedophile.
Right.
So, he believed that everyone's erotic life was bound up, as it were, in dominance and submission. I think we told you about that. And he believed that female love leaders could use their erotic oomph to direct men and women alike in a utopia of peace, love, and bondage games.
Peace and love and bondage.
So he wanted to see women take the lead with him and some other women.
Creepy.
That's why he loved this idea of one strong woman and him and other women. This is the guy who created Wonder Woman. And this is the guy who helped push forth a lot of these feminist ideals. We have a swingers club down the street. I pray over it.
Well, we don't.
Well, it's in our town.
It's down the street.
I pray over it every Friday and Saturday night. Women are free, by the way.
We have yelled things out the window, like when the people get out of their cars, we just, y'all need Jesus, go home. Go home now.
All right. So in this book that the one woman wrote about Marston, I can drop these links. I want you guys to look at them. I have like a little piece here I put on Marston, transgender, gender fluid, all one gender, all erotic towards all others. Basically, we're all just one gender, basically.
And that crosses age boundaries because they have talked about these infants.
It does. It absolutely does.
It's disgusting. It's vile.
Right. So you have this going on, and I don't want to bore you guys too much more, but it was incredibly interesting to me. Some of this is just so weird. You have Wonder Woman as a child riding around on, like, rabbits. The idea was to bring...
which rabbits are, historically from a Greek god standpoint or whatever it is. Mythology
absolutely.
is, procreative,
it's very
sexual.
Satanic.
Yeah.
Like, here's a clip. I thought you would refuse to stand on your head, but we'll see, using the thing. Now stand on your head. No, yes, princess, I wouldn't do it. And so the idea is that, like, here she's using these things in some sort of sexual dominance thing. It's just really disgusting. And it's made for children and things.
What's with that, like, full-grown kid, like, naked?
So, yeah.
there's another naked kid here and another naked kid there.
Supposedly, this is supposed to be Wonder Woman who's crafted out of clay and like Zeus comes down or something.
Yeah, like some sex fantasy doll.
And brings life to the Diana. So there's really something weird. The original Wonder Woman's comics were whimsical and playful because they were for children, but also because they were sexual. How can you say that in one sentence as a human being?
Yeah.
How can you do that? How can you do that? Instead of massive CGI battles and explosions, the original Wonder Woman comics mostly features stories where Wonder Woman and the villains alternated tying each other up and ordering each other around. Everyone got to the bottom and the bottom from the top. And so you just see a bunch of bondage, weirdness going on. You have this woman on top of this woman. Everyone's tying each other up. I can't feel myself. Am I a prisoner? And so literally, it's just really disgusting and weird. And you even have this. Look at this. You have babies whipping her and tying her up.
I don't know. Can you guys see that?
It's pretty tough being a grown down lady's slave. So this is literal pedophilia, by the way.
Hang on, though. This is the way we brand you. The red mark of displeasure will remain with you until the smart from this spanking wears off. The children are saying that. I can't.
What happened in his house?
I don't know.
Between him and... Then you've got these weirdness going on. I don't know. We'll make a lovely chicken darling. Wait until I give you a crisp skin. And then they put all the women in the thing and then a crust and try to make a pie out of them. This is just disgustingly weird. I just have to tell you. It's so disgustingly weird.
All right, so these are, for those of you that are just joining us, I feel sorry for you.
How do we go back?
But we are talking about the creator of Wonder Woman and how that ties into the being anti-feminist, right? Really, in essence.
Because I'm anti-pedophile, for one, and I'm anti-polymorphous, polyamorous relationships.
Okay.
It's disgusting.
Right.
Okay? I know that we have some lesbians watching us. I understand. I hope you come out of it because, darling, that is the most repulsive, disgusting relationship that any person could ever be in.
The Bible's clear about that, actually. He says, it says even the women, meaning it's even worse if the women have given themselves over to
and we talk about
homosexual relationships.
Women don't have. There are two locks. There's no key, right? It doesn't work. Men can do stuff.
Do we know the date on these Wonder Woman cartoons? I mean, this guy was living in 1918, roughly.
Yeah, so I think it came out in the 20s and 30s, from what I understand. This was like right around like when Marston wrote the book in 1928. I'm pretty sure Wonder Woman came out in like the early 30s,
which is a really that's a long time ago.
Yeah. No, really. I'm gonna go over a couple more of these things that I had highlighted from this NPR interview. The most popular female comic book hero of all time has a secret past that's revealed in the new book, The Secret History of Wonder Woman, by my guest, Jill Lepore, the creator of Wonder Woman. You can listen to it if you want. I'll put it in there. William Moulton Marston led a secret life with his wife and his mistress. He fathered children with each of them, and they all lived together. His vision for Wonder Woman reflected his interest in the women's suffrage movement and in Margaret Sanger, the birth control, and the women's rights activist, who was also his mistress's aunt. Wonder Woman's costume was inspired by his interest in erotic pinup art. This man was a deviant Satanist.
Right.
Jill Lepore was first intrigued by Wonder Woman, I told you, because of Margaret Sanger. And just while we were talking about it, Marston's aunt, Caroline Keatley, believed in the teachings of a book called The Aquarian Gospels of Jesus the Christ. That was basically a sexual book. A book in part, sexual beliefs. Well, his aunt believed in what was called then Aquarianism. This is the dawn of Aquarius.
I think it's age.
Okay. And it's not really a sexual, it's a fringe religion. But Marston's aunt was interested in all kinds of other things. And in 1925 and 26, she held meetings at her apartment. in Boston that Marston and his wife and Olive, his little ménage de trois, went to, and Marjorie Wilkes Huntley went to. And I found in the archives this 95-page typewritten set of meetings minutes, like meeting by meeting, and it's clear that what it is a kind of a call to female sexual power that they attended and took very careful notes on. Because here's the thing. We were talking to our grandma Marilyn, and if somebody has to teach you and show you what to do,
it ain't natural.
It ain't natural. Things come natural. We got pigs, we got chickens, and everything just comes natural. You don't need to be taught. You need to be taught that stuff comes babies. But go ahead, Mama.
You should finish up there and go to Pure Life for a while. Can we talk about Pure Life for a while?
We will. I want to finish my sentences here.
I think it's Lepore. It's not Leporn. It's Lepore.
It's Lepore.
But it sounded like she said porn. Even I thought her last name's Leporn. I'm like, wow, that's fitting.
Well, I actually did go on to tell you guys a lot of this stuff. The Viagra girls' mom's like, I don't know if I can handle any more of this. Could you stop being so disgusting? I get it, Mom. I got it. So let's see. Submitting to a cruel husband's domination has ruined my life. Marva, where did I put that? Where is that from? That's Wonder Woman. Get strong, earn your own living, join the walks or waves and fight for your country. So that's from the New Yorker saying, basically, submitting to a husband ruined their life, get strong, get a job.
Maybe you just had a bad husband and it's not something that everybody else should do.
Wonder Woman debuted in 1941. So there you have that. Mom's like, bring up Pure Life.
We'll get to it.
So I wanted just to bring up a little piece of where it ended. And this is actually a documentary from the women's liberation movement in the BBC. And these women literally gave up their children. And now they're coming back to be grandparents because that's the easy job.
Right.
Okay. And they're laughing about the fact that they hate men. And I have to tell you, what age has done to these feminists has made them look like men.
Right.
Social conditioning. She was the first person to insist that although sex might be determined by biology, gender is not. This was an entirely new concept. Okay, so I'm going to ask some really basic questions. What is my sex?
Well, I don't know. You could have changed sex, you know. I need to look at your birth certificate.
Well, okay, what do you think my sex is then?
I think you're probably female.
And what's my gender?
I don't know you well enough to say that.
She's laughing about this.
This was not a thing. These women put this forward.
Right. They forced it. It wasn't obviously natural.
I think very little. 3 political statements point the way to the liberation of housewives. The housewife role must be abolished. The family must be abolished. Gender roles must be abolished.
Family must be abolished.
Were you against the family as an institution at that time?
There was quite a bit of suspicion of a family. I had a family in which I wouldn't say my mother and father had been that happy, and I didn't really see that the family was something that I...
So a lot of these feminists came out of, like, abusive homes.
wanted to hang on to. The problem was that we didn't think through. It was quite, how else did you bring up children?
How else do you bring up children?
If it were admitted that the family is maintained at the expense of women, capitalism would have to devise some other way of getting the work done.
So that's kind of their basic thing, being a Marxist, right? We would have to come up with another way. How do you cook? How do you keep your house clean?
Right.
Women are more inclined to dust. Women are more inclined. These are things...
Hang on, did you have to say dusting? Because that's kind of a cliche.
I don't think that guys like to do that. But you know what? Girls don't really want to go down and build things with wood. Now, I believe that we all have, like, different awesome goals and abilities. And Michelle and I, obviously, what's hilarious is that we do...
We're the opposite. Like you just said, you don't want to really build things. We have had to do so.
Why don't you tell them, since Matt has come, what you were saying today in the Jeep when I was saying the left turn signal doesn't work?
I may have said that I don't have to do that job anymore because we have a mechanic.
A dude.
And the other day, the toilet...
Michelle throws things sometimes when she gets into her man mindset of having to fix things.
You have to tell people that. Here's the thing. I do...
But she can do more than I can. My brain can't... I can't think the way she does, though it's pretty cool that she can do it, but she doesn't exactly enjoy doing it.
I do electrical. I do plumbing. I solder. The only thing I don't do is weld. I've tried it. I don't really want to do it. I do construction. I can do it all, and I can do it all moderately well. I don't like doing any of it. And before Kansas got here, I was essentially the man of the family. And ever since...
We worked together.
We did, but I think I was more of the, brains of it. You know, you were the brawn. I could say, here, just come do this. Leah's really great with the sledgehammer. If you guys haven't seen our bathroom remodel videos, those are always really fun. Old school stuff. But here's the thing. When Kansas came around, and then Justin, we're going to get to in a minute, they moved in, and all of a sudden, I didn't have to do those things anymore. And I became more peaceful, more feminine, which I had already previously been before we had to start fixing up the house.
Here's the thing. In the absence,
I don't want to do it anymore.
In the absence of something, like men can raise children. Men can fill a void. It doesn't make it easier. That's why it's helpful to have a wife.
We come from the man's rib, and so everything about us actually originated in the man. The femininity, all of it.
Women were designed by God to be a helpmeet, meaning man can do everything, and women are there to help the man. That's not a bad thing, okay? When you go to your job at a work, is everyone the boss? Or does the boss hire people to be helpers? Sometimes he has equal helpers. Sometimes a law firm might have the founding partner and then two equal partners, right? So in a godly marriage, in any godly relationship, everybody is equal. I mean, the Bible talks about everybody is equal, and you treat everybody with respect, and then you honor their God-given abilities and what they're good at doing.
Right. It all boils down to the wives, submit yourself to your husband, but the husbands have to love their wives
as Christ
loves the church and gave his life for them. So in that, I got to tell you guys, the women get the better end of the deal if the husband does what he is supposed to do.
Absolutely.
So if she is submitting to him and he does that, then you're essentially submitting to the person that God has put in your life to almost represent Jesus Christ to you and your family as kind of the head priest of your church. Which this is all very biblical. If you don't know the scriptures, I'm telling you, this comes straight out of the Bible. And it's the way that it is supposed to function, and it is the maximum of fulfillment for all parties when it functions correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all she has to say. Yeah, that does it. All right, so we want to get to Pure Life. I don't know if you can pull up, I put in the Google Docs the interview that we did with Justin after he came out of Pure Life in the basement. It was one of our first Resistance Chicks episodes down at the bottom of the Google Doc.
Oh, which one?
The one you just had up.
Okay.
I don't know. The one. We had a young man, and we talk about this a lot, but for those of you that are new, come and live with us after he went to Teen Challenge. He was a blacksmith. He had given his life
a place
he was a heroin addict.
Yeah.
And he came off of heroin. He gave his life to Christ. And then at one point he came to us and he told us that he didn't want to have anything over him, controlling him anymore. And so he had
full of adrenaline rushes,
pornography
and drugs
that he had to
girls,
deal with.
Money, anything that I could do to please my flesh and to basically get a rush
out of life.
Yeah, out of life. That's what I did, and that's what I thought life was all about. Was getting making the most of this life.
Right.
While we're here.
Makes sense.
Because it doesn't last forever.
Right.
We got one life to live.
Right.
So.
But I did link this in there.
Where did that lead you?
Do you want to tell them about it then?
Yeah, just because we could watch the whole thing, and I would be fascinated because I've seen what God did in this young man's life. Now, it wasn't just a pornography addiction that he had. It's called sexual deviancy. It's anything that is outside of the norm of what God created. And he said, I have Jesus Christ as my Savior, and I don't want to put anything above that, and I don't want anything to control me. I've already done away with drugs. And so he submitted himself to Christ, and Christ led him to this amazing ministry. And I'm going to pull it up here so you guys can see it. And it's called Pure Life Ministries. Let me go to scene 4 here. Sorry, my computer's lagging. Web page. And while he was there, they showed him exactly how to put Christ first. And he is a completely new creature. This ministry is not just for pornography, although they deal with that a lot because that's an epidemic in the church. What is the statistic for young men between 18 and 35 in the church? It's like,
oh, I don't know. It's up there, 40%.
Yeah, something like that. But they have an amazing program, and I would encourage you guys, I'm going to put link to this in the description, where you can go and live and get healing, essentially, from any sexual deviancy or past or struggle or whatever. When we dropped Justin off in January of last year, or was it the year before? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was 2016. There were young boys as young as 18. There were men as old as 75. But the median age were these men was this group of men in their 40s, struggling with something that is become an epidemic in our society. And I have to tell you guys something, that pornography, the sexual struggle that these men have in their lives, is the result solely of the push of feminism and what that brought about, because men were no longer allowed to be men in their families. And when you can't be the man in your family and in your own household, everything gets twisted, everything gets morphed. It's not just the dawning of the internet, okay? Because before the internet, men were still addicted to pornography. They were still having all of these issues. It has been ever since the big push of feminism in our country that has...
communism.
Yeah, and communism. They have this thing, I'm hoping this isn't going to be too loud, the Unchained stories here.
It was devastating to him and I both.
Amazing.
We could not believe that.
To, just for the heck of it, go and watch some of these Unchained testimonies of people that have come out of pornography. Their marriages that these wives thought that they were completely over have been salvaged and saved because of...
So I'll give you Matt's testimony a little bit. He grew up in, you could say his dad was polyamorous with the television. He would get Playboy magazines, and one of the things Matt said that he would ask his mom, because Matt was always so uncomfortable with this, and he'd say, Mom, why does Dad look at these? And his mom would say, well, the day your dad stops looking at these is the day he stops looking at me. And,
right.
I met his mom, and I hope she watches our show because she is abused, severely abused. She's really sick. She's very sick looking, and I say that in a loving way. I know her history with this man, and what this relationship is doing to her is sucking the life out of her. What Matt's brother had to go through as a child, and Matt's, we told you, his uncles were homosexual. His one uncle was with a dude who went to prison for molesting a child, and Matt came out of that and didn't want to have anything to do with that. I mean, there was a time when he got his friends over and he burned all of his dad's Playboy pornography.
Sydney.
Yeah, she might need a treat. At one point, his dad was trying to mess with his mind and would say, I don't know how to work the VCR. Would you dub these porn tapes for me? And asking him to do that as a second grader or a third grader. So Matt would
go in and he'd do it really fast, and he would press the button and try to run out so that he didn't have to see it. But that was pedophilia.
But God really set Matt free, and we don't really support birth control. And when I first talked to him about this, it's kind of a big deal. And when he got this revelation that these particular relationships are for family and for children, that's what brought him to the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ. He thought he was a Christian before, but when he saw God's plan for family, it changed his whole life. He was excited. I think that was
one of his most real moments of salvation.
Yeah,
because you view we are just a reflection of God,
right?
And He always wants more children. He never doesn't want more children. Patriot Gallery.
Can you change the Pure Life picture? It's like half a picture.
What do you mean?
In the background, the Here live stuff still.
Oh, is it? I'm sorry.
Just have a picture.
I thought I went back to scene 3. My bad.
Oh, we're back.
Sorry, guys.
Production. But anyways, we have a list of young men who have come out of this whole worldly mindset, and they're living a great life. Our friend Jimmy, he was majorly messed up, and he's doing so well, and he knows what it means to love a woman the way God would have, and that God would have you love a woman, and that's what's really attractive. When I talk to my girlfriends, ain't none of them want a polyamorous relationship. No. Okay? Everybody wants the fairy tale.
Yes.
Everybody wants the guy to say, I love you more than anything. I think about you. I care about you.
What is the line that Kansas steals in one of our Virgin Diaries from that one movie?
From Twilight.
From Twilight. You bless me just by breathing.
You bless me just by breathing.
That's a good line. Y'all can steal that one.
Right. And when we read the Bible, the way God loves the church is the way a man's supposed to love his wife. And that is what keeps this bond together. Right. It's this glue that God loves us so much that he gave his only begotten son.
Yep.
And that this dynamic is what Satan wants to destroy, because it's the most powerful dynamic in the world.
And that's why it's his ultimate goal.
Exactly. He wants to destroy. Why did God make 2-1? It's Malachi.
To bring forth a godly seed. If that was a question, I have the answer.
The idea was to bring forth life and children, and not every relationship has to have kids. Okay, some people can't have kids. There are issues, but the idea is that there is Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. There's Mother, Father. There's children, and it's a cycle. And that's how life goes.
Right.
I got Mr. Rooster out there. Now, he has a whole flocks of hens. It's not the same thing.
It's the animal kingdom, man.
But he takes care of them all.
He does. And he finds something in extra patch of bugs there. And he starts scratching, and he makes his little... And he makes this little noise, and then they come over, and then you know what he does? After he starts scratching and showing them where it's at, what does he do? He walks away.
He does walk away.
He walks away and lets the hens have at it. Now, I don't know how that boy maintains all that weight.
Do we not have it? We don't have a background on this one. This computer. We don't have the good computer. We don't have the good picture here.
Well, it's a brand new computer, man.
Yeah. It's like a blue screen back instead of a green screen. But anyways, I think it's time to wrap up.
It is time to wrap up. All right. So this being as silly of an evening as it has been, I believe, Miss Leah, that it is time to play I Suppose It's Okay. I think tonight is the night that we debut that song. Go get the guitar. I suppose it's okay to play that.
I see. I know what you did that.
Yeah. So let's see if I can change this background here. All right. Thanks for being patient with us, guys. Thank you to our moderators who have been here. I read that should not be on there. Oh, wait. That you guys, hang on a second.
What are you trying to bring up?
Oh, that's the wrong thing. Oh, I know what I was going to do.
You're not plugged in, are you?
I know, yeah. I was just going to have the background be what's on this one. But anyway, Maia, Texas, worth a look. Gary, I don't know if Kelly was here or not, but thank you guys to our moderators who have been here this evening. Do I need to pull this forward? Probably. Well, and thank you guys that went to InfoWars. Our mom was like, everybody was there in the chat, and I saw them, and it was so great. So thank you guys for joining us on InfoWars and for coming to follow up. With this? Yeah, I can get it. No, you have a guitar in your hand, man. So we're getting it together.
Production team.
Let's
get together. Stay together.
Loving you, weather. Times are good or bad, or happy or sad. So let's stay together. Loving you, weather. What do you need? It was in the chair over there.
It's in a chair.
It was in the chair.
Yes.
Thank you guys for being here. I'm not sure if we're going to go live tomorrow or not, but we will try. But we do go live every Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
We have some presents of Michelle's to open up, so hopefully we will.
Yes, we will try. And every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I want to give you guys a little backstory about this song. Leah and I, obviously, we've been in the ministry for a long time. And our songs have always been a way to minister to people. And I wrote this poem a long time ago. I think I was probably 15 or so. And somehow together, Leah and I, do you need the lyrics for it?
I'm going to give Cindy some.
Decided that we would turn it into a song together. This has been one of our most played songs, but we have yet to bring it to you guys.
We used to go to youth groups and teach them these principles that we're teaching you. Teach young people.
We wear promise rings. We've been wearing them for a long time, man, but they've been holding out. I may have lost a couple of the stones in there. No, that's not the right song.
That's not the right song.
But we went to a black church once with one of our friends, and we got a lot of these black girls to get their daddies to go and buy their promise rings.
You better know that if you ask your daddy for a promise ring, that he's gonna be first to line up to.
I'm probably gonna need these words. It's been a long time. I got this. On the surface, I'm scared of change. Even the big things that should be fun, I'm afraid of in my heart. A girl my age should be dreaming of future things, of her wedding, her future husband, and many others that it seems. She should dream of the day that they meet, the day that they fall for each other. But I dream of living forever with my sister and my mother. I wrote this when I was like 15. Kind of accomplished it, haven't I? I used to dream of all the things that girls should, but I don't want to now, and maybe that's good. I can't see things any different than they are now, but I never dreamed that I'd move far from home, and I got here somehow. We lived in Oklahoma at the time I wrote this song. My sister once said, change is okay if taken day by day, and she is right, I must confess. I suppose it's okay to turn my fears into dreams, to think of New Year's, new falls, and new springs. I'll be just fine if we take this thing slow. Might not at all mind, and I might not even know. One day I'll wake up with a companion by my side, and I'll know that it's so perfect just to be his bride. His bride. Oh, just to be his bride by his side, all spotless and white. Oh, I know, my waiting is right. Just to be his bride by his side, all spotless and white. Yes, I know, my waiting is right. Yes, I know, my waiting is right. Sorry, I don't want to I don't date, I don't even flirt around with the dangerous things that can spoil my gown. I know that one day God will bring me the one. If I can't trust him for that, how can I trust for salvation? 'Cause I believe in my Father above, and I know that he wants to bring me true love. True love, just to be his bride by his side, all spotless and white. Oh, I know, my waiting is right. Just to be his bride by his side, all spotless and white. Oh, I know, my waiting is right. Yes, I know, my waiting is right. Jesus will come for a pure spotless bride, and he will take us all to be by his side, and we'll know our wedding is right. Oh, church will know our wedding is right. Just to be his bride by his side. Some may think I am weird, they do. Just to be his bride by his side. Some may even call me a queer, they do. To be his bride by his side on that wedding night. loves it.
Sunny says, I need food. I'm waiting for some food. I'll eat your food.
All right, so there you go. We've been holding on to that song for a while. I hope it wasn't too loud and didn't blast you guys too much there. But that is a favorite of ours. And you know what? No matter how many years we've been playing that song, I still feel it as true every single time that we play it. Yo. So, thank you guys so much for being here tonight on our special InfoWars Purity Wonder Woman. Yeah. If you guys didn't see us on InfoWars tonight, I guess I'll drop that in the description as well. You can go and find us there.
Let's see. I'm just seeing if we got any new subscribers from that one. That'd be funny to check. You should check that.
I will check it. Dashboard. A few. Not quite that many yet, but I don't think it's updated.
Okay.
Yet. I don't know. I think we'll probably... Because when we were just on a little clip of InfoWars after going to the Red Pill Expo, we gained like 200 subscribers from that. Oh. So having been live tonight with Leanne and Millie, which was amazing.
Well, they're censoring us on YouTube. It doesn't matter anymore. Anyways, we take it with a grain of salt. Our shooting, when we were talking about the Texas shooting, somehow we got going viral, 23,000, 24,000 views, and then all of a sudden they have this. We told you guys they have this carousel. And they call it the carousel, and what it is like 2 or 3 pages of mainstream media news now. They didn't have that a year ago. It was just whoever was going viral, whoever was getting the most clicks.
Right.
Our video on Charlottesville had 160,000 views.
And then they cut it off.
And then we got put in the basement. We got put in like prison.
They have these
YouTube
algorithms.
jail.
They can tell when you're
and they took away a bunch of our subscribers from it too. Yeah. We were getting all these subscribers, and all of a sudden they started taking them back because they said, "Oh, that must be fake."
I'll tell you something really interesting. When we went live, did you tell them how many viewers we had concurrent on the Texas shooter follow-up?
Yeah, we had about you guys saw.
We had like 1,100 people watching us live at any one given moment.
Yeah.
So when it finished, my mom said that she was watching it, that there were over 300 likes. And then after it finished, it went down to like 220 or something like that. Like they took our likes away. You can't take away somebody's thumbs up, man. That's our draw the line at the likes.
Me too.
You know? Oh my gosh.
So we like you.
Thank you all for the happy birthday wishes. I have been seeing them all. I greatly appreciate them. Thank you so much.
34 years young.
Yeah, exactly. So you guys were talking about honey, which also seems to be, it's one of my passions. We keep these. So yes, honey can be dangerous to children. Lisa is correct. Under the age of 1. It's not that they can't have it. You just use wisdom. And then Gary came in and said that honey is just bee poo. It's not bee poo, but it is bee throw up. It's regurgitated nectar. They go and they get the nectar. They literally swallow it and then they spit it back up. So there you go. Now you can, for those of you that did not know, we could do a whole question and answer about bees because I love them. All right, you guys, we're going to sign off for tonight. Again, thank you guys all for being here on...
Thanks for joining us on InfoWars tonight. That was really fun.
And my mom was Patriot Gallery was so excited that she's like, I know all these names, everybody's there. Now, Lisa is saying that the rude comments were hard to deal with. I don't know how they do it on InfoWars. I have no stinking idea because you guys in the chat, we get a couple of trolls here and there. It's not that bad. But mostly, our chat is really fun. It's clean. Everybody is encouraging. You may have a little bit of a difference of opinion.
I was thinking about you guys being in that chat, like how you had to go downtown into the cesspool.
Right. Oh, yeah.
But InfoWars chat's awful.
No, it is so bad. So I don't need to know any of the comments. I'm sure they had bad things to say about us. But I think that the message that God would have given out, we prayed about it before we went live. Literally, we prayed about it throughout the day. As soon as I found out, I literally just found out this afternoon.
Gavin's like, hey, you want to come in InfoWars? We're like,
yeah. Is that a question?
And then we're like, we're going to InfoWars.
So then we were praying and getting ready spiritually so that only the message that God would have us give out.
We were definitely a little awestruck, to say the least.
Oh yeah, I have no qualms. I was like,
I was trying not. I was trying to play it cool.
Oh, you always have to play it cool, man.
I wanted to say, hi everybody, I can't believe we're on InfoWars. You guys are awesome. Thanks for everything. But I was like playing it cool.
Yeah. I'll have to. I tell you though, within the first 2 minutes, I was not nervous. It was just like a normal conversation, and all the jitters went away.
It helps that we have met Millie before.
Yes, it does help that we have met Millie before, and I got to talk to her on the phone this afternoon.
And she's so cool, man.
She is really awesome. She's a genuine person.
Yeah.
And I want you guys to know that about Millie Weaver, that she is the real deal. I mean, she knows it all. They tried to have a farm. They had to move because the wind turbines came in, and they're very, very dangerous.
Yeah, it was making them sick.
Right. All right, we're going to sign off here. Tomorrow we'll go live. No idea when, but you can always find us Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ooh, really fun thing. I want you guys, and we haven't done it yet, to go and get your tickets for the Genesis movie on Monday. It's a one-night showing. Kent and Eric Hovind and their ministry. The 13th. Monday the 13th.
Is it Monday?
It's on Tuesday. I'm pretty sure it's a Monday.
That was Tuesday and Thursday. I know it's the 13th.
It's the
You're
13th.
right. You're right.
Monday.
You're right.
All right, so we're going to get our tickets early, and we had said we were going to get exit interviews, but we didn't bank on the fact that, there was nobody at the theater for Let There Be Light, unfortunately. But when we do these one-night event things, we always get good exit interviews. So we will be doing that for sure, and we'll do them live, maybe. I think it would be better to do them live. I think it would be more enjoyable. So we'll see. But I want you guys to go. If you're Catholic, I didn't know this, but a lot of our Catholic friends, they're not taught creation. Very odd to me.
Oh, I'm not plugged in. That's funny.
So go and learn something, because they're going to give you facts. And I want you guys to go there with us. It's a one-night event.
I think it'd be great, even if you're an agnostic or atheist, just to see what people are coming from.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a lot of science that does support creation. There just is.
The creationists and the evolutionists use the exact same science to come up with their findings. It's who is going to interpret it. And they're both theories. Well, we believe, obviously, creation is a fact, but...
That's incredible.
Oh, and it's in 3D, which is a big deal.
I've never seen anything like that.
It's awesome. Absolutely awesome.
It's amazing.
You know, I'm very excited about the Genesis.
That's Ken Ham. We have the Creation Museum in Cincinnati.
What Genesis teaches us in 3D.
This is correct.
So obviously they know how to laugh at themselves.
Yes. I don't think I've seen this trailer.
So to answer somebody said Catholics are taught creation. I just have some Catholic friends that were not. They were taught evolution through kind of a creation standpoint, but not. It was mostly just evolution. So it shows they have a sense of humor.
I do believe it does. Oh my gosh. I think they're kind of making fun of, like, I don't know, original.
Oh my gosh, that's so great.
That is really funny. That is so funny.
It's just amazing to see it like that.
So GSP4EX says that they were raised Catholic and they were taught evolution. So thank you for that.
That is funny. Oh my gosh, they do know how to play funny at themselves. That is really funny.
Yes.
I think there is like there's.
But it is going to be a phenomenal event. So get your tickets early.
Real one. They've been working on this for years.
How can you not believe that somebody designed all of this?
Big Bang, evolution, millions of years, origin of life. We see no examples of that today. We can't observe it. We can't repeat it. People just believe it blindly.
Just like faith. Evolution is based on faith alone.
It's a religion.
It's a religion. Hi, Jasper. It is a movie. It's a one-night event movie, and I think they actually got 2 showings. Did they get it again on like another day?
I thought it was Thursday, okay. Monday and Thursday.
You can go to the Genesis movie 3D, like .com or something, or .org. I cannot tell you how excited I am about going to see this.
There's been an incredible con that's occurred in the culture.
It's a con. That's exactly what it is. Professing themselves to be wise, they become fools. Romans 1:22.
And that is that everything can be explained by natural processes only. They eliminate the supernatural. That is a religion. It's a religion of atheism.
Except even like the God particle, some of these major atheists are like, there has to be a God particle,
right,
to start it all.
Well, there has to be a Big Bang. There has to be something.
Obviously,
some of them even throw in aliens.
The genius of God's
they love the
creative
alien one.
hand
Aliens created us. Who created the aliens?
Of the existence of an intelligent designer, and anyone who denies that is a fool. We know he exists because of creation.
And actually, most of the most prominent scientists, Galileo, Copernicus,
all the biggest scientific breakthroughs historically were done by creationists who sought out to explain God through creation.
Remember,
or to explain creation through God.
We told you how George Washington Carver would lock himself up in the in his laboratory, and he would ask God to show him what to do.
Science. It's really on our side.
So I'm
excited. This is not, I want you guys to know this, because we've done a lot of studying creation. It's one of my absolute favorite subjects, bar none. And it is scientifically backed. The evolutionists have so many gaps in their theories that when you compare the evolution theories to the theory of creation, creation holds more weight and holds more water and has way less gaps in it, in their theories.
This is one of the top 2% I've ever done in my opinion.
He's saying that people love the movie. Everybody who watched it loved it.
Oh, so. That's right. Kelly, it was your anniversary, I think, yesterday. So happy anniversary. She just said her husband said it's their 30th anniversary and her birthday gift.
Wow. Happy anniversary, Kelly.
Yes.
That's fantastic. All right. So we'll see you back hopefully tomorrow, but definitely Friday.
Yeah. And get your tickets to the GenesisMovie3D.com. And go on Monday night. Be there with us.
Genesis movie.
All right. We love you guys. God bless. And see you soon.
I was cold, all alone. No place for